some kind of phone app. So quick demo with this guy, you should be able to see me in there. I'm the red, orange, and yellow guy. So everything around me should be somewhat blue or black. And with me being the red, orange, and yellow guy, sorry fellas, but that means I'm the hottest thing inside the picture. It's mostly ladies. I got to play to my strengths here. So it works really well with bridal parties, just so you guys know. So we're literally looking for blue and black spots to start moving on their own. Either that or taking shape. I also look for 15-degree differences in the ambient temperature versus whatever the blue dot is. The blue dot is going to give you the coldest spot in the frame at that particular moment. So it's kind of helping to direct your eye when you guys get your video back. Now, Charles, this one's going to go to you because you guys said you didn't have one of these. I was paying attention to what you guys told me, what equipment you had. So you're going to hold this basically with your right hand. All night long, keep it horizontal. The orange square means that it's recording. We're going to leave it on record, and I'll give you the cues of when to start and stop. And the reason I do that is because as great as the hardware is, the software sucks. If we record for too long, we lose footage, and I don't want to lose that for you guys. So I do splice all the video together in order, so that way when you get your video back, you just won't have the in-between us walking to one space to the next. Is that fair? All right, Charles, that one goes to you, my friend. Have fun with it. Treat it just like a cell phone. You're not going to hurt it at all. Let's get the next camera out. Let's get this guy started. See if I find the zippers.
Are we free to take pictures of anything?
This is your night, sweetheart. Okay. You take as many pictures as you want. So this next one is a little crazier. Works a little bit differently, obviously, because it looks different, right? So this is a little tiny GoPro. It has been altered. Let me show you how it's been altered. So you should not be able to see me in there except for the car lights. So in that little tiny black screen, I know it's small and I'm kind of showing you a black screen, how exciting, right? But we're going to turn on some lights. So we are working with infrared lighting. This is light you cannot see with your own eyes. I just lit up 24 LEDs to make the entire screen purple for us. The hope here is that we're going to be able to capture something we would normally not be able to see with our own eyes. So again, you cannot see the light emitting out of this, which is exactly how we have it designed, or it has got a little bit of a weight to it. We're going to be using a secondary device along with this, which is really cool once you guys see actually how we break this guy out. So, Lauren, I think I'm going to go with you on this one. Okay. So, go ahead and get this started from the recording part. She tries to blind me. That's awesome. Perfect.
So I hold it straight like this?
Yep, you're going to hold it straight. Okay. And now we're going to give you direction with each location with that specific camera. Okay. So, this is the neuralizer for Men in Black. None of you are going to remember anything by the time we're done. Yeah, you guys got my crazy jokes. Lasers. So we're using lasers with Lauren's camera because in the event something actually passes through it that we normally wouldn't be able to see with our own eyes, the lasers will illuminate it. In the event that she's filming these lasers, and hopefully she will because these two things actually go hand in hand, I'll be able to give you the still shot from that camera and be able to see exactly what we caught. But we're going to be using two different lasers. The second one gives me red squares. The red squares, same thing. Something pops up here. The only difference is if I capture it on the camera, I can then put it in 3D software and give you the full 3D view of what we caught along with measurements. So I've had this for about a year now. The software has not been able to take any of the blurry still shots I've been able to capture of things going through this. So with this, I'm actually going to go with Lola on this one. So you two are going to be kind of partnered up together. Okay. Lasers stay on the ground. Whenever you're using them, make sure that the edge of it is touching your toe. That way you know you're in control of it and it's not going to go too far. This one has a toggle switch, so once it's on, it's on. You want to make sure you're not waving it all over. There's a laser law in Charleston and Nick will get arrested, just so you know. Both of those go to you. Let's get into spirit boxes. We're going to be using several different types of spirit boxes tonight. So spirit boxes, if you are unaware of what this actually is, it's basically going to sweep through the FM radio stations at a very fast rate. And then, it's kind of like on TV shows where it's just a white noise and then your host will tell you what he thinks he heard in the middle of it. Yeah, we're going to be doing that in real time and with a little bit of a different method. That white noise when you're capturing voices, most of it is made for TV, just so you guys know. But those disembodied voices are actually pretty hard to catch. But there's another method you can use with these by slowing down the radio sweep. By slowing it down, the radio chatter actually can come through. So we're talking song lyrics, DJs, commercials. If we can make out what any of those three things are saying, then we can maybe tie it to the location where we are. It's normally about a 50-50 shot. And that's usually to the location, a person in history we're talking about, or even something going on with one of you. Happens all the time. Now I have two of these that I'm going to be passing out. This one specifically is going to record the entire session for us. You're going to get this full recording back because the person wearing it is going to have an earbud in. They're going to be the only ones to hear it in real time. I'll be writing down whatever Hannah hears in real time because I do keep a little notebook with me. Look at her get all excited, everybody. You see that smile? That's why she's getting it. I've seen her eyes light up like plates. So with that said, you can mess with the volume as much as you want to. It's not going to mess up the recording. You can even turn it down to mute and as I'm kind of going through things, and it's still not going to mess up the recording. I'll be writing down whatever she hears, but I'm also going to spot check it for y'all tomorrow morning, give you about 15 to 20 more markers. If it's relevant to the space, obviously I'll tell you why and give you the link to be able to verify that information. Is that fair? Again, I'm not here to hide anything. So, earwax is gross. You get to keep these as a souvenir. So, I buy them in bulk. So, under your twist tie, your volume button is right here where my finger is. I'm going to make sure it's all the way down so it's not blasting you in the ear.
Okay.
So
And
get used to it.
if I hear something, I just tell you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Get the second one going. Deborah, I want you to be able to use your dowsing rods tonight. So I'm going to hand you this other one because you'll be able to slip this one into your back pocket once you get a volume set to a normal setting that you're comfortable with. So again, same thing with you. It's already sweeping, but it will not record. So I'll be relying on you to whatever you hear in real time to be able to write down. So that way you can use your dowsing rod, slide this guy in your back pocket, and still be able to listen. Is that fair? So again, earwax is gross. You get to keep those. And your volume button is the wheel right here where my finger is. So you should get used to that really, really quickly, I'm sure. The next spirit box is one we don't have to actually listen to. I love this guy. So let me show you why. This one's going to give us words in the center of the screen from time to time. This would be considered like an ovulus. So if you guys watch the ghost hunting TV shows where they have that little box and it actually says the words back to them, this is the same principle. Only this is a phone app. Why am I using a phone app versus that one? There's 18 times the amount of terms and phrases in this dictionary than there is on the actual device that's meant for ghost hunting itself. 80% of what comes out of this thing is going to be garbage. I'm just going to put it right out there. It's the other 20% that's going to be tied to the location, a person, one of us, just like all the other spirit boxes. The cool thing about it is it's going to save all those words to a list. And it has timestamps next to every single term. Last night we had 72 terms show up. Again, we had about 5 or 6 terms that came up that were actually relevant to our spaces that we visited. I'm going to clear out that list because they already have theirs, and I'm going to start us off fresh. So, Kitty, this one's going to go to you, my dear. Now, this one, you don't need to really do anything. I will come to you when I want to see the words popping up because I want to be able to get to the list with you. Otherwise, if you keep showing me every word, we're going to be out here till like 4 in the morning. So, hang on to that.
So I don't do anything.
Yep, you hang on
But
to
carry
it.
it.
And
Okay.
I will keep following up with you.
Perfect job.
Let's see.
The birthday girl, she needs a special.
Birthday girl. So, this spirit box works completely different. Holy cow.
Okay. Do you want to try again, or you finished?
No,
Okay. Have you, London, right?
Yes,
Have you ever tried dowsing rods?
I have not.
Would you like to?
Yes, I would, but
You
only
wanna-
with permission.
Yeah.
All right, you need to ask her.
You need to ask her.
Dad. Yeah, ask her dad.
You should have silence.
If he says it's
Time to
okay,
time,
then
not a full
she'll
screen.
show you
Yeah.
how.
It's trying to eliminate all of that white noise and only give you voices. That's the whole point of this particular type of spirit box.
Now I've got 80s here and 45s up over here, but
Yeah, the guy had it in his back pocket and kept tapping on his buttons because I had it set so you would only get words coming through instead of all this white noise.
movement right here.
That's what
this
that is.
light.
Oh, is there?
Again, you should have some silence in between distinctions.
Oh.
I don't know, I missed it, but hopefully your audio caught it. So when you guys are listening to this, it just said something, so listen closely.
all right, let's see what we got.
So when you're only going to get one word at a
She's
time,
getting
that's the
Yeah.
some EMFs.
We have the other spirit boxes that I did that one too.
I keep getting
That was
Truly.
different. Truly again?
All right, I've got
Interesting.
84, 85 around here, and 60 around up in this way.
first walked in
Deborah,
this
are you hearing
parking lot,
anything else?
It has like right here. Yeah, that's good.
Are you hearing anything else on your spirit box?
I thought I heard two names.
What'd you get?
Lois and Loretta.
No. I'm gonna write them down anyway, just because you've heard. And any other readings to go up above that orange?
No.
Still around the 15?
It just goes to about right there.
Okay.
Right there.
I'll let you know.
Trust me, that thing loves to spike out here, go all the way to the red.
Okay.
Happens all the time. So you might want to take a victory lap and kind of maybe see if there's a hot spot, because I'm going to wrap this location up here very shortly.
All right, well, ask Nick if
Do what?
ask Nick if London can
If what?
use ask Nick if London can use
Oh.
the dowsing rods
Oh.
before we take off. Just in case he says yes, the one thing you want to do is you want to be able to hold it down by your side and get it to where before you get started to where they can't be touching, but
They've got to be
they
straight
have to be
out,
level
and your thumbs have got to be.
so that you're really not influencing
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. I mean, I've watched people use them. I just haven't been able to use them myself. So, because like my dad said, we don't have our own. Like the only time he's been able to use them is it was someone else's that he knew that had them.
Okay. I would have liked to.
No thanks.
Deborah, you got anything else?
No.
Do you care if she tries with these?
No, I don't mind. Not at
All
all.
right.
Look, put your water bottle in my pocket over here. There we go. Get it.
Yeah, you basically hold them in like this three
That's your camera work on
and this is just
Still running?
to level it. And you put your thumb here, and you
So
don't
every
squeeze it
10 or
whatsoever.
11 minutes, it kind of starts to be violent. So push it next.
Okay, yeah, you
But I'm
make
glad
sure
we
they're
got that
out.
format thing done early.
Then you say,
And again, your camera's not
may I
always
douse, can I douse, should I
all about
douse?
this.
If you get a no answer to this one,
laser grades,
then you have to start the session.
Okay. So it's may I douse first?
Yeah, just make sure these aren't too tight.
Yeah.
Matt, come on in, bud.
May I douse?
May I douse
In
this
orange,
one?
so you had about 20 then?
May I douse this location?
Matt caught an 18 earlier over in that area, so
She's got a yes.
fairly accurate.
Can I douse this location? I first walked here.
Do I need to mute it when we go from place to place?
I'll let you know when we're gonna turn it down.
Can I douse this location?
No, but London's holding those dowsing rods. It says stick.
Should
You gotta
I
remember
douse
these people
this
for plenty of
location?
times. I mean, they might know what dowsing rods are, but to them, that's still a stick.
Yeah.
Yes.
You turn off the two parallels.
Yes. So, am I talking to a male?
Just giving her a minute with the dowsing rods, and I'll give you guys all the answers.
Am I talking to a female? Thank you.
Cute.
Am I talking to Eliza? Thank you. Are you happy here on Earth? Are you happy in your mansion? Thank you. Thank you for talking
do
we
it.
can kill the video. So Charles, hit your red square for me. Give your hands a little bit of
Gone.
any names heard along the way.
The only thing I heard was station.
Okay.
We heard Jesus and then God of Israel. But no names other than Jesus.
Karen and Maria. Anything come out of yours?
No, they don't mute.
It was all about you. Just giving you a hard time. All right, so welcome to Lodge Alley, everybody. We're going to be talking about the history of this location, and then of course we're going to do a few little odd experiments just to kind of see what goes on here. So first you need to know where you're at. So we're in a quiet space, so again, we're not going to be here for a long period of time because there are people in those hotel rooms inside those windows. So again, my voice stays pretty low here as well.
Like real people.
Well, there's ghosts up on 304, but there's real people on the other side of the wall, yeah. But yeah, if you want to take some pictures going up and down the alleys, we do capture a lot of orbs here, which is exactly why I have Lauren's camera moving very slowly in this location.
You're not getting any pictures though.
When we cross the lost crosswalk coming down East Bay Street, that's where the original Charlestown Wall used to be. So Charleston used to be called Charlestown. This is one of the first streets we ever had inside the original city. So people used to live here, which is why I was asking you all for names. I have the full list of residents of every person that's ever lived here. And don't be too impressed because it's not a lengthy list. It's just nice that I have access to it. The names I commonly get as I'm coming into this alley, and it's not even me, it's you guys. Benjamin and John. You guys hear those names all the time. Benjamin, and when I say people lived here, by the way, I'm not talking like dozens of houses were lined up the streets here. I'm talking like 2 to 5 houses total. So Benjamin and John, go ahead and mute that for me in here, just because you want to kind of keep the volume. I wanted you listening on anyway. I'm sorry, I'm still going to get a hard time here. But Benjamin and John both lived here in 1801. There's 2 out of 5 people that lived here in 1801. I get those names every 6 to 7, 8 seconds. Here's why I think that's happening. So first off, I don't have anything about Benjamin and John that's super significant other than the fact that they both lived here in 1801. Now John is a very common name, you're saying. There were 4 different Johns that lived in this alley over a 60-year period. John likes to give us his last name, Johnson. So John Johnson was his name. We won't get his full name in this location from time to time, especially during that 6 to 7 week long loop. Now, you're standing on Belgian blocks. Belgian blocks are said to be made of granite. Everybody looks down when I say that, it's funny. So, Belgian blocks are made of granite. Now, you guys all seem like you're in tune with, kind of paranormal terms. You've heard the term limestone before. How do you know about that? So, limestone is actually said to kind of stir up paranormal activity. Now, the funny thing about granite is it does come straight from the earth, just like limestone. However, granite does not hold an EMF charge whatsoever. I want you to pick a brick and put your device on there and let me know if you don't need to turn that on. Let me know if you get any reading. We're going to leave it on the ground for the next 1 to 2 minutes. So just let me know the highest number you get to. You should not be getting anything above a 1.1, which is a natural charge from the earth. Last night alone, we had a 9.7. So again, I've seen it go as high as 11.7 in this location. And again, it was during in the middle of that loop. Why it showed up at 9 point something last night, I have no idea. We didn't have a whole lot of activity going on in here with your devices, nor did I capture any orbs moving around or any temperature anomalies. Any numbers, or is it staying pretty low? Okay. We'll leave it there for just a minute. Let me know if it goes anything above that. Now, before people actually lived here, the Freemasons had a Masonic lodge here, hence the name Lodge Alley. So we will get terms wrapped around the Freemasons, so that would be Mason, Brick, and we've even had the term Illuminati show up several times. 6 times last year alone, and 3 times this year so far. Now, that sounds really funny to you guys, but it comes up usually on the Red Spirit boxes that you guys are using. And I want to know who the heck is talking about the Illuminati on the radio, and second, why am I only hearing it in this space? So again, the Illuminati is not something that's normally talked about in very open subjects like obviously the radio. So especially with the radio stations we're sweeping through, which is FM, possibly AM, but we only use FM. So it's a very interesting space. Any readings at all? Okay, go ahead and pick up your device. We're not going to get anything out of that tonight. But again, Lauren, you're doing a great job with keeping it nice and steady. I have been running like some laser grid tests in this location too, but again, if we're not getting any spikes out of his device, there's really no point. We're going to be watching a bunch of lasers doing absolutely nothing. So the next space we're going to go to is, I got all excited. So Carol, your device actually has a 15 milligauss, but it's steady. That's what I call a rhythm or a pattern. That's coming from something man-made, more than likely the building behind here, just so you guys know. But I got excited because I seen color. The next space we're going to go to, folks, is another alley. However, I cannot take you all the way through it like what we're doing here. Why? Because I've been kicked out. Again, you guys have all the blinky lights and the noisemakers and all of that, and it is considered residential at the end. That space is what I would call an active, intelligent spirit, and we are going to be relatively close to it through the remainder of our time together, which means the spirit boxes can get relative terms from that space 1 block away. Like, kind of for an example, the Big Johns that we actually started off with, we could have gotten terms from Big Johns over at the Pinckney Mansion site and vice versa, because they're relatively close to each other. I'm not expecting anything from the Pinckneys over here, but over at the next space, it could lead over into our very last stop. So we're going to be cutting through a neighborhood as we go into that next stop. So when we exit the alley, I want all videos to stop because we don't videotape anything when we're in a residential area. People live there. Absolutely no lasers are still out of the game. So sorry about your luck. But that means you get to listen in on the spirit box and kind of see what you guys are actually hearing along the way there. But everybody else listening to spirit boxes along the way. Kitty, you got anything going on with your word list there before we move on?
Let's see. Occupy, guy, pheasant, extent, dance, dust, insects, itching, identification.
Okay, nothing.
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Word list is actually pretty weak tonight, I'm not going to lie. So, there was something else I was going to mention before we went over there. Was there something about those?
I think so.
Okay. Alright, let's head up to the next stop. Let's go see if we can go capture at the next location. The Pinckney Mansion site was light, obviously. Oh, that was it. The loop. Where are we in the loop that I normally capture evidence here? We're in weeks 3 to 4 of that 6 to 7 week long loop, so I was not expecting any of you to hear those names, Benjamin and John, just so you guys know. But again, I never know what's going to occur, which is exactly why I'm studying this, because I can't even pinpoint to an exact date. I have it to a week-to-week basis, based on what I'm normally seeing at this location. So let's head up to Philadelphia Alley, and let's go see what we can go capture up there. So keep listening in on your spirit boxes.
Hey, Meg.
Nick.
Has a question.
When you turn around, went up the alley, did you see him? And there was up against the wall. And our shirt, our girlfriend's in white shirt.
I did. I saw someone leaning up against the wall too. I really did.
It was long, let me sleep. I didn't see anybody.
Y'all didn't
See somebody with long puppy sleep?
they were leaning like she just said. They were leaning like that.
Holy cow. Were you filming the whole time?
Filming once you told me to turn it on.
I think I took a
I
picture.
thought you said turn it off.
Yeah, as we exited.
But I took a, I took a,
It was up closer to
Do you have pictures?
I was taking it. I don't know if I got it. Was it as we were leaving?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was a
thought
very
everybody-
slender type
I
man.
thought everybody was standing there.
Huh?
I thought y'all didn't see anybody standing at the end
No.
of the alley?
No.
No.
He was standing like this.
Well, I'm saying like this all.
Yeah, I didn't see.
There are 3,000.
Well, here's the funny thing, is you have a picture here, but I can't make anything out of that. I actually have to go in and analyze that and see where the points of light are coming from.
Oh, wow.
Is it?
There's no flash, so anytime if she's moving and taking a picture, it's
Oh.
going to be blurry.
Yeah.
So, again, but we have so many people in this photograph, I'll have to like blow it up and kind of analyze where the points of light are coming
When
from.
you were sitting there talking too, I mean, I was just taking pictures down the alley as you were telling me to.
Right.
But towards the end, as we were getting relief, I did see somebody just
What kind of made you think it was?
like this.
It just struck me funny that he was leaning there
leaning.
like that.
That's
And he
a
was,
Mike.
and the puffy white sleeve is what
I didn't
got me.
notice the
Maybe the guy's name was Mike.
I definitely don't think we walked.
I didn't notice the puffy white sleeve.
As soon as you turned around, you didn't see him again.
Yeah.
And when we come out, I looked both ways to see all around, see if I could still see him. I didn't see him.
And she definitely saw him too.
I
So.
did see.
Maybe his name was Mike. She heard Mike.
I saw someone right there.
All right, I'm going to put everybody up against the wall because Charles, you're about to become a ghost. Let's not do that. Sure. Wow, very, very interesting. So, again, I caught shadow figures there with the thermal imaging camera in the past. So, like full figures, you know, in whole, you know, leaning against the one wall, like where they should have been almost the same color, almost blending in, but obviously moving towards the All right, so
Would you like me to mute this?
please. Aha, see, now you're on it.
Sorry, when they said I was out and heard Mike.
I heard, yeah, I heard Mike on Aaron's device.
Well,
Did
there's
somebody
a
else
Mike
hear
there.
Mike? Oh, so you heard me talking about it. So yes, what year did Michael live there?
It was
207.
Did they go by Mike back then?
It's a possibility. It's doubtful. But again, they might reach for what they can out of this. And we might have only heard a part of it because it was on Perrin's device that cuts in and out. So it could have been a full Michael, but we only heard the Michael. So,
Because they were real
I just heard
proper.
I just heard pay attention.
all right. So that should be me. Like, focus. Get your shit together, Nick. That's basically what they're saying. So,
I thought you had it.
I know, right? But yeah, this is when something like this occurs, where there's two eyewitnesses to something that's going on. Like that's kind of
I
crazy
never
stuff.
honestly thought that you all saw him.
No.
See,
Yeah,
I
no.
didn't see him when we passed. I just saw him while you were talking, and as we were leaving, I looked up and I saw him standing there.
Yeah, no, I got nothing. So hopefully I can find him in the cameras, hopefully of some sort that Charles caught. He's still on the left-hand side. He can follow direction well. That's awesome. I get a lot of upside-down videos, as I'm sure you can tell. So that's why I keep looking to make sure it's on the left. So welcome to Philadelphia Alley. Let me break my headspace here of what we're actually going through. So nice job.
Valley.
Oh yeah, both of you with cameras. You're going to be very inconspicuously filming the alley behind me. And when I say inconspicuously, why I say inconspicuously is because other tours may go down there and they did not pay to be filmed. And again, that's the residential area where I've been booted out of. So you want to hold yours maybe a little bit lower and not look like a YouTuber, but definitely keep it going that way. So we heard the word alley, very cool.
I heard communicate right after he said pay attention. I heard
Pay attention and communicate. Remind me to write this down. I want to get into this one because it's got a lot going on here. So with this space, this space used to be called Dueler's Alley. This is one of the spaces where the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. This is why all the other ghost tours will go down here, is because that's pretty much a big campfire ghost story. So Charles, you want to pretty much direct your camera at the alley, not necessarily me, just so you know. But with this alley, we all tell the same story, of course, for ghost hunting. So I'm going to give it to you a little bit differently than the other tours, because you're going to need a lot more detail because you're ghost hunting, especially when you're going through the alley tomorrow morning. So with that said, let's get into it. There's a doctor that moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Joseph. He moves down here because his fiancée, Amanda, just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She's an attorney that's helping her out with all of this cash. He thinks that the doctor is just after Amanda's money, so that's coming from the building behind you. I know, sorry. You're seeing ghosts, isn't that enough? Come on. Just give up on that. So, the attorney tells Amanda to get rid of the doctor because he thinks he's just after the cash. So, to prove that he's not, he comes down here to Charleston. He's going to start his medical practice here in Charleston. So, as he's coming into town, the coachman set him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a very good start to his stay in Charleston. Somebody walking by, his name is Ralph Isaacs. I'm going to stop on Ralph for a second because, again, you're ghost hunting. So, Ralph, he actually has the same initials as to where the doctor came from. So, Rhode Island, Ralph Isaacs. The letters R.I. will show up here quite often. We just need that secondary clue so we know who it belongs to. Because I just gave you the two main characters, the doctor and Ralph. Back to the doctor. Ralph tells the doctor, you don't want to stay here, dude. He's got a gunman inside. I know who this is. But I got some friends at 59 Church Street you can rent a room from, and you'll be safe and good to go. Obviously, 59 being a very big spirit box term here. So, the doctor takes him up on the offer, and him and Ralph become friends. The doctor's practice starts to take off the longer he's in Charleston, which means he's making his own money now. He's proving his point to his fiancée Amanda and her attorney, and that means Amanda's moving down soon. This doctor becomes known as the Whistling Doctor. I will tell you that every haunted city you will ever go to has a cliche whistling ghost. I actually have proof of this one. So, let's finish this one up. Him and Ralph go see plays together, but they can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. He gets better seats, just so you know. They talk about these plays on the way home. They go see William III play. And they start arguing over the new actress that was here in town. The doctor thought she was fantastic. But Ralph, he didn't think so. So they start arguing, and then Ralph starts assaulting the doctor's fiancée back home in Rhode Island. It gets pretty heated and ugly, and they go their separate ways. But Ralph is from here. He has friends at the newspaper. Joseph puts an ad in the newspaper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. The doctor sees the ad and rebuttals with, let's go to Dueler's Alley. We're going to settle this. Somebody's going to die. Come down, take your 10 cases, they turn. The doctor points his gun in the air, and he shoots. He did not want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up to the fight, which is often what happened at a duel, by the way. There wasn't always a dead guy. However, Ralph has his one shot. He puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. Dr. Ladd drops to the ground. His friends pick him up. They carry him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later after refusing medical treatment. So, you have to remember that this guy was a doctor. All he tried to heal himself by bleeding out the bullet himself. Here's the campfire part of the story, of course. Every ghost tour goes down there and tells you that if you turn on your voice recorders, you can actually hear the whistles from the doctor. If you do this on your own time, because of course I can't take you there, and you're about to find out why, turn on your voice recorders, listen to it later, see if you hear any whistles. Keep in mind, all the locals know the story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland Street or Queen Street on the other side knows the whistle down the alley. Me and London usually do it every single night on our way back to our garage. So we're going to end up there on that corner. Our garage is right there. We have to pass the alley every single night. So again, we always throw a whistle down the alley. So here's why I got booted out. This is the fun part. You ready, Matt? Yeah, let's find out the good stuff. So this alley didn't always come all the way through to the Cumberland Street side, which means the bricks at the other end are older. Those bricks are sun-dried bricks from slave children. You guys, I'm sure you realize by now I'm all about the history, right? I'm about the history. But the history of Charleston, we did have slavery. There's a full handprint in one of those bricks from one of those slave children and fingerprint swipes from other children. And I would always point them out just to show how far we've actually come in our history. However, everybody wants to put a spirit box or an EMF detector or something near that handprint in that brick. I treat that brick the same way I do a grave. You're not going to get that kid staring at that brick in the afterlife. That brick, November 26th of 2020, got me in a lot of trouble. My entire group decided to huddle around that brick, try to get readings, and ask questions. It's outside a gentleman's dining room window of his beautiful mansion. Dude came out, started screaming. This one thought it was great because Dad's getting yelled at. So we move on. The next day was Thanksgiving. I worked in retail management for over 20 years before I started doing this. I took a Thanksgiving off. I'm sure you all can relate if any of you have ever worked in retail in the past. So the next day was November 28th. Yes, all of these dates are very specific for a reason. November 28th, I got a phone call from the tourism office asking me to either go down halfway, like every other tourist, which is what we're allowed to do, or reroute the group. So I decided it's not fair to my 10 people to try to investigate a small space around 20 to 60 other tourists from other tours. So I'm going to reroute. I tell my group, we're going to wing it. We're going to see what happens. I don't know much about this story, nor do I really even believe in it because I've never had activity there. I did not tell them who we were going to be investigating. And before we left, somebody hears the name Anne on a spirit box. I did not tell them we were going to be investigating Anne Bonny, the famous female pirate. When we get there, I told what I knew, kind of him-hawed around it, like, all right, we'll see what happens. Somebody else hears the number 300. I didn't know what that meant at the time. I'm doing the research the next morning. We were there on November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. The exact 300th anniversary of her pirate trial. So I keep taking you guys back there night after night in hopes that we're going to capture more. However, Anne Bonny is said to be seen all over town, and we're taking a big roll of the dice. Luckily for you, I've read dozens of books on piracy and Anne Bonny. Now, however, I am not a pirate person at all. Like, I don't like pirates. It's not my thing. I'm a vampire guy through and through. So, everything I will tell you about this pirate story at the end, if we don't get any activity, which again, we'll know within the first 5 minutes or so. Hopefully, you guys all know what you're doing with your devices by now and be able to capture more activity than we did at Pinkley Mansion. But it is a crazy whopper of a story, if anything else. I made it as most accurate as I possibly can when you're dealing with pirate lore, just so you know. But it is kind of a crazy whopper of a story, and we're going to head up to that location next. Did anybody hear or see anything on their word list before we go? Hannah, nothing? Karen, you're still on mute. Kitty, what do you got?
Scheme of Ford Foods prosecution, Girl City poison, apart track, behind, melody.
Melody as in a whistle of a melody?
It just says melody.
Vague, but again,
Garden.
we're a little far off the garden now.
Scheme.
Kind of. Again, it's not specific enough for me. Like, I would almost want, like, add Amanda. You see where I'm, like, specific, very specific details about the story. Scheme? Yeah, there's schemes all over the place. That could be related. All right. Let's head up to the Powder Magazine. Let's go talk about pirates, and let's go see if we can capture up there. Is you still recording, one?
Is this what you're expecting for your Sweet 16?
You do these every night every day?
When I'm here, yeah.
Does it give you some of
Then, sometimes. Well, sometimes. So, like, never.
these are the teams that I want to work with. People bring extra stuff. They teach me in London a few extra things. People see ghosts, like literally. So thank you for that. Like that was awesome. And everybody kind of followed direction. And when I say kind of, that's a 90%. So that's a great job. There are some nights, folks, where I'm constantly, all I'm doing is teach and train, teach and train, teach and train, teach and train. What does this do again? What does this do again? So again, cannot thank you enough. This was a fun night for me, and I'm sure London's learning a few things herself. So thank you for teaching her a few things about those dowsing rods. And the reason why I said that it was perfectly fine for her to use them is because I know that space well, and I know it's a safe space for her to learn something like that. Am I going to take her to a space to learn a new device in a space I'm unfamiliar with? Absolutely not. So London is learning quite a few things back home, with me anyway. I'm sure you guys realize like I do more than just electronics and that kind of thing. So she is learning quite a bit. So again, thank you for bringing those. Great deal. Welcome to the Powder Magazine. We're going to be seeing other very large groups, just like you guys saw at the very corner over there. Actually passing by here, which is why I bring us to the back, and it's now Campfire Story. So,
Does not everybody get devices?
what do you mean?
Like, I didn't see anybody in that group with devices. Like,
I'm the
anything
only
their
one in
hands.
America that goes to these lights.
Yeah.
Literally.
It's usually just they talk to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what, yeah.
So happy birthday, you get the weird tour.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is one other tour in Savannah that's trying to mimic what I'm doing out here, but they do not have the caliber of equipment that you all are holding right now, nor do they give you all of the recorded data, and they charge you to use the devices. So that is not what this is about. This is about for you guys to have fun while you're here in Charleston, learn some history, and touch some devices you may never see again in the future, or you can ask your new Zach Bagans a million questions after we part ways to keep you in the loop of what's going on. So,
Well, and a lot of times the equipment's so expensive that if you're not going to use it, there's no point in putting that much money out if you're not going to use it.
right, and I'm literally using this stuff 7 nights a week, and we're still upgrading and updating. Like the camera you're holding, Lauren, it's a complete new upgrade. All the lights on there are brand spanking new that are upgraded, and the camera itself. It works way better than the last one. The FLIR that Charles is using, like that is a major upgrade that we updated that last year. Everything in your hands is pretty much an upgrade. And we're still adding a few more tools in the next few months. So again, it's all about whatever's changing in this field. So let's get into where we're at so that you guys can explore. We're going to be talking about that little tiny building right over there with the crosses on it. First off, those are not crosses. Those are earthquake bolts. In the event we have another earthquake, those are turnbuckles. So, which we haven't. I know I talked about the earthquake of 1886 at the beginning, but you could turn those turnbuckles and it's supposed to straighten the building back up again and kind of eliminate any damage that was incurred onto the building. It's a great idea, but Lauren looks very confused, like that's a dumb idea. It is a dumb idea because it doesn't work. So, the reason I bring it up is because these are the first set of earthquake bolts that we actually put in Charleston, because this is the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713. So, we are here because we talked about those Charlestown walls earlier. This place is a familiar to Anne Bonny. She actually was here during the time that this building was being constructed. It's kind of like using a toy to attract a child post, the same type of principle. So again, with this location, I told you we talked about those Charlestown walls where that garage is right there on the street. That's where the wall stood. It went up past the powder magazine and started going south behind me towards the battery, keeping the gunpowder magazine away from the water as furthest away as it can inside the city walls. If it gets attacked from a pirate ship cannonball or Revolutionary warship cannonball, it's going to have a hard time getting through those 32-inch thick walls. We're going to pretend that it does, and it goes through the 32-inch walls and actually blows up the gunpowder, and the explosion goes up in the air. Underneath those red shingles you guys see, there's sand from the early 1700s that was placed there to go up with the explosion and fall to put out the fire of the gunpowder. That's another great idea, but that doesn't work either. So, we had another powder magazine closer to the battery. It did get struck because it's much closer to the water. The sand went up, but the building burned to the ground. It doesn't exist. This one has just never...
I just heard blitz up, sorry, right when you said that.
Of course. But again, this one's just never been attacked. It has served in 7 different wars and 1 rebellion. So, the 7 different wars, the last one being the Civil War, just so you guys know. This is a great spot to get out of our heat or our cold, depending on what time of year you're here. Spend the $5 to learn a few things about weird architecture. Again, 1703 to 1713. Took 10 years to make this building. Does that sound like our government? 10 years, small building? No, not at all. I'll answer for you. But Anne Bonny actually came here in 1708, which is where the story actually begins. So follow me, there's a lot of twists on this one. 1708, Anne Cormack moves here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is her mother. Is everybody with me so far? Yeah, a lot of twists, I told you. The three of them are running away from his wife. Just saying, how mad was she, right? So you have to pick up and leave out of your country. They land in Georgetown, just north of here, in between us and Myrtle Beach. Dad buys a plantation in Georgetown, and Mom dies pretty quickly. That means he has to send young Anne down here to sell anything in the plantation to keep things afloat. Now, young Anne back home in Ireland was kind of a badass. They say she actually killed one of her servants when she was only 10 or 12 years old with a knife to the belly. Didn't we have the word knife show up? Yep, thought so. So what were the other ones? Legend and couple?
Okay, legend, couple, knife, and since then, rabbit, Jason, berry, element, along.
Yeah, I still like knife.
Okay.
Last night the word stomach actually showed up as soon as we got here. So again, it was kind of cool. But anyway, fast forward a little bit. This building was done in 1713. Pirates are coming through Charlestown in 1715. Anne is pretty stoked because she's going to fall in love pretty quickly because she's looking to gain freedom like a man. So she falls in love. Guy number one, his name is James Bonny. You can already see where this is going because we've already mentioned her name several times. They run away to Jamaica because Dad doesn't approve.
They just said James.
You have to remember these. I'm not going to write them all down right
Okay.
now, but yeah, keep them going. Unless London's going to write them down for me. Find a blank page. Whisper in her ear. James and Blow Up. I think are the two major ones that we have right now. When they get down there, this guy is not the swashbuckling, rum-drinking Captain Jack Sparrow she was hoping for. This guy is a privateer, which means he's a spy for the British. This is not who she wanted. She falls in love again a few years later. This guy is, we're on guy number 2, in case you guys lost track already. There's a handful. So, John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. This is the same real person that they based Captain Jack Sparrow's character off of. Calico Jack has his own ship. Anne wants to be part of that ship. You can't put a girl on the crew because girls curse pirate ships. He makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy and hide your gender, then you can be part of the crew, but you're going to be a female in my quarters. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy back home in Ireland to keep her away from his wife. So she's like, whatever, I'm a pirate, let's go. We're all adults here except for London. You can imagine what's going on with the female in his quarters kind of mentality. She eventually gets pregnant. You cannot have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure it out that she's a girl, and then they're all going to be mad at Jack. So Jack decides he's going to drop her off in Cuba and say, have the baby over here with some friends of mine. They'll help you out. Come back. We'll figure it out later. She has the baby, but returns with no baby. We have no idea what happened to the child. She's also dressed like a female. She doesn't give a damn anymore about hiding her gender. This makes Jack pretty angry. And while she was away giving birth to Jack's baby, he captured another pirate crew and they're down below deck. Anne's going to go flirting because that's what Anne does. Guy number 3. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack just captured. So now we have 2 females dressed like males on the same ship. Her name is Mary Reed. Her and Mary become friends, possibly lovers. We're never going to know for certain because way too long ago. And the British find out where they are. They're going to send their entire fleet of ships to come take down one pirate ship. Anne and Mary are the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with their 1-bullet flintlocks, probably because they don't know how to use the cannons yet, and obviously they're going to get taken, right? So the other pirates are down below deck, too drunk to come up and fight. So, as they're being arrested, she looks at her captain and beau, Calico Jack, and she says, you should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog. Now, the word dog very prominent on spirit boxes here, just so you know. I've seen it plenty of times. The judge, he wants to see the 2 men that fought back so valiantly all by themselves. He's already took Calico Jack and the drunken crew and hung them. Like, they're tried and they're dead. So, the 2 ladies go in front, they reveal their gender. He doesn't care that they're female. He's still going to hang them because they're still pirates in his eyes. And by the way, that judge's name is Nicholas as well, so if you guys hear my name, it's relative in one of 3 ways. We'll see how it pops up. But anyway, he's still going to hang them. So they scream out, we plead our bellies, meaning they're both claiming to be pregnant. You can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. So he sends them both back to jail. Dad is still here in the Charlestown area with all of his Irish money. He bails out Anne, brings her back home. She remarries, that's husband number 2, but guy number 4, because yes, we're going to count Mary Reed. We never know for sure. And she has 4 kids and dies at the age of 84. That's all we know after her pirate career. As far as Mary Reed goes, she died a year later in that Jamaican jail from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. So it's probably scurvious and bumpy and gross, and use your imagination. I'm sure it was nasty. That was 1721. As far as the story goes and questions you guys can ask on your spirit boxes, it's a free-for-all. However, I did leave 2 facts that I can actually prove out of the story on purpose. You can ask whatever you want to, but I did leave out the name of Calico Jack's ship. I also left out the name of Anne Bonny's parents. So, if you want to ask either of those 2 questions to get things kind of rolling along, you can do that. A couple of things here before I have you guys spread out with all of your devices. I did tell you at the beginning of the story that people have passed out on this tour. Let me tell you why I give this heated warning. Not the only example, but it is a prime example. Back in September, it was actually a little bit cooler than this night, probably, you know, higher 60s. I bring my group back here just like what we're doing now. The kid next to me goes white as a ghost, like literally. I have to pick him up by his armpit so he doesn't hit his head on the ground. He's passing out before our very eyes. His boyfriend picks him up from the other side of him before he hits his head. We take him over to that wall over there, get him a seat, get him a glass of water, like he's doing better. I then tell the story. It's important to know that they don't know what you guys now know about Ann Bonnie. I send everybody out with their devices to go have fun, explore the space. They pull me aside. Nick, we gotta tell you, we are 2 transgender males, meaning I had 2 females dressed as males, just like Ann and Mary, on the tour. It made complete sense as to why one of them passed out the minute we entered the space. These are the uncanny things that I see all the time. This is why I give those heated warnings. So, those of you with cameras, you can go to the front of the powder magazine. I know you have your SLR there, so you can actually go to the front. You'll have to exit the lot and make a left. The only thing that I ask is that you do not interrupt other tours. Lola, you with the lasers, you can go up there with her, so obviously we can get some footage and see if there's any motion going on up there. Anybody else want to go up there to take pictures? Obviously you can do that. I will tell you, there's a great shot of St. Philip's. If you stand kind of like in the middle of the lot, you can see the steeple. It's a beautiful shot if you want to take those on your cell phone. We are going to end over there at that wall. That's where I'm going to be, and then I'll pull you guys back in. Normally, if somebody gets excited about another term that's popping up, you guys normally come to find me. If I see that nobody's coming and running up to me for great terms that they're hearing on spirit boxes, we'll wrap this one up, and I will collect devices, and you guys can ask me a trillion questions. Let's have some fun and spread out in this space. Let's see what we can get. Wow, you guys all got really quiet all of a sudden.
Do you want to do any dousing near there? Or
Do what?
you want to do any dousing?
With the lasers in the front, just make sure they stay on the ground.
I almost wish I hadn't brought them, but they were on my way. I couldn't take pictures. Carol, just so you know, with your EMF meter, this is not a high EMF space. I don't expect. Once you get to the bushes, obviously you have a park here, electrical pole, you're gonna get a view. So you're gonna not hear the, oh my god, check it out, stand right here.
Okay. Electrical cords. Okay. Because I was like getting kind of disappointed.
You had a little bit of range where it comes from.
17, 13. Remember, this is the one I told you they thought was too close to other things. Like, you got this out. So they built a new one that was further away, and that was pretty rough.
Yeah, I think I got it. Thank you. Thank you. Yep, thank you. Thank you, Mama. They handle too many things at one time. Thank you.
I really didn't get much. I can't hardly understand these things.
What's the picture?
The picture I got was that window over there. The one that, I'm not going to send that one. That was not that one. That one. Okay. Wait a minute.
What do you make out of that?
What do you see? Do you see anything?
I mean, I see something in this perimeter, this area here, but I can't make
Right
out.
here. This is the guy. Looks like a chubby guy with a beard. This is his shoulders. He looks like he doesn't have a shirt on. His mouth, nose, eyes. There's his hairline.
I always look at numbers as
Can you see it right in there?
No, I can't, but
You can't. So there it is. It's almost like he's looking at another way.
10 to 12.
That's back-to-back pictures. It's like he's almost looking out the window, and then in this one, it's almost like he's leaning back in a chair, almost like we're just.
got you now.
You see it?
I see it now.
Mm-hmm.